Hey, what's happening, everybody? Huge week of wrestling. We have a new WWE champion, Bobby Lashley. We will get into that in just a minute. That happened Monday night on Raw with a win over The Miz. We got a huge week for AEW as well. They had a massive show last night. Shaquille O'Neal is in the ring. We will talk about the go-home show for Revolution, the second ever Revolution, and kind of a strange show, though. Nick, it was eventful, but kind of a strange show. Before we get into Shaq, who kicked it off, nothing for the main event. The exploding and barbed wire death match. Where was Moxley? Where was Kenny Omega? Apparently they feel they have done enough, and they've been feuding long enough that they didn't need to do anything else going into the pay-per-view on Sunday.
I would go on a limb and say this is probably a first. Have we ever seen a go-home show on any major WCW, Raw, SmackDown, Thunder?
Yeah, maybe The Undertaker. A couple of the last few years, maybe with the Taker, where he wasn't always there.
Both guys, though?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah, possibly
That's
not.
just nuts to me. I mean, I guess what you said, they feel they have sold you enough and they're ready to roll.
Yeah, very strange. You know, and the last time we saw Omega, that I believe anyway, was when they were in the factory or whatever they were doing, which was a strange segment. And then the week before that, the only time we really saw him was when they were reading a book to kids. I'm just odd build there for a death match. Anyway, so this thing, Nick, gets kicked off last night with Shaq and Jade taking on Red Velvet and Cody Rhodes. Mm-hmm. Shaq did fairly well. This thing ends. He goes through a table. They really kind of, and he was laid out, then gets put in an ambulance, really maybe kind of building Jade here. It looks like she gets the win. Looks strong. She's got $1 million look. So, you know, I take this as this was the Jade show. We're putting her out there for everybody to see. Just your thoughts on the match in general.
100%. The two females, and you obviously knew they were going to work the majority of the match going in, right?
Right.
She looks like $1 million. I don't know, and now we'll see, because AEW, I don't know how the AEW fans, they're not really quick to criticize their own stuff. Her in-ring work needs work.
Yeah.
I thought the other girl, Red Velvet, did a much better job, looks great in the ring. But huge win for her, kind of manhandled this girl who they mentioned won 11 of her last 12 matches, seemed to be the girl they were elevating up a ladder, and she manhandled her in this.
Right.
As far as the girls go, big push for her. We'll see how she does. And I agree, Shaq was cool in the ring. He did more than I thought. You know, again, you're not going to come in here and get a 5-star match out of Shaq. But it was great. He got in, gave Cody a big chop. You know, I thought Cody tried to slam him. That was good. He took the bump. He even got into it with some guys on the outside. And then, of course, the massive table. The only thing here's what kills me. You got these shows, or every week we're watching these matches where guys get nuked. They go through multiple tables, get hit by multiple chairs, fall off ceilings and crash through electrical cables and get electrocuted and still kick out.
Yeah.
The match isn't even over. That Shaq goes through the tables, which was sweet. But he's dead?
He's dead. Until Nick. Well, he's not a wrestler. So I guess that, you know, when you're a wrestler, you're used to flying through tables. He's dead until he's taken to the ambulance and then disappears. You said it best. They didn't see the 7'2" guy leave the ambulance. How do you lose him? What?
He just got out. And I mean, what? How? Please, God, it's not like a Fiend thing, right? I mean, this guy's not going to start vanishing.
The Fiend's been off WWE TV for a few months now. Is he the surprise who's jumping ship? Yeah, I mean, he's not. But come on. He just disappears? What in the world? So you assume that's going somewhere.
It's not over yet, right? Yeah, something somehow. Yes, I'm with you. Shaq's involvement in AEW is obviously not done.
Right. Yeah, just odd though. Like I'm all for cliffhangers and whatnot, but a 7-foot dude just disappears. Huh?
Well, and I
Odd.
also wanted to touch on what me and you were talking a day or so ago. Talk about the worst build to a match, a big match. This guy, I don't care what anybody says. And I'm not the biggest Shaq guy. I know you're not the biggest Shaq guy, but he is a pop cultural icon. One of the most
Worldwide.
recognizable faces in all of sports.
In the world.
Maybe sports history.
He is. He is.
And there's no Bill. I was talking to you on the phone, and you're like, Shaq's on them. Oh, I thought that was this weekend.
Yeah.
What a terrible job. I've seen more advertisement on the NBA network on TNT with him talking to the other guys out there about the match than I have on TNA. I mean, I'm sorry, AEW.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Horrible
You're right.
advertisement. Horrible build to this. Like,
Shaq did the original thing a few weeks back after Brandy. And I don't even think, Red Velvet was even in the match at this point when she threw the water on him. They replayed that on TV and Shaq talked about it. And that's when he made the challenge. I don't know that they've talked about it again until Tuesday night. Cody was on like a Zoom call with Shaq and the guys talking about the match. And yeah, you're right. On TV, they had Shaq one time and they show he and Jade playing basketball. Like that was the build to this match, playing basketball. I know Shaq can play basketball. I know Jade can play basketball. I think she played at like Jacksonville State or something like that. That makes it was weird. And like you didn't even know it was going on last night until I told you earlier in the day. Yeah, that tells you how bad it was.
I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't have the solid date locked down.
Right.
And I mean, maybe that's my stupidity, but I feel there was a lot more people like me that kind of were like, wow, this is going down tonight. And you would know better than anybody being in the industry. This is a guy, correct me or not, Ryan, that can move the Nielsen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much, but this is a guy that brings viewers.
Yep.
And to not advertise this, shame on AEW for this one, really.
Just the way they did it. I mean, they did obviously do stuff. Like you said, you saw it on NBA, on TNT, or inside the NBA. You saw all that, but you didn't hype on your own show. And you didn't hype it the right way. No one was like super excited to see it. It exceeded expectations. I'll give that to them. But
yes,
we have seen this numerous times though now, Nick. And right off the top of my head, the FTR Young Bucks feud. Like, what was that feud? It was just bad. It was hyped horribly. And they have done this with a few of their matches where it seems like they're just, oh, well, Shaq sells himself. We don't need to sell it. That I don't know if that's what they're thinking, but that kind of seems like what they have done. Oh, Shaq sells himself. Let's jump ahead. I don't think we need to hit every single thing that happened on this show, but another one of the big things was Jericho and MJF. They have a press conference. They are fighting the Bucks for the championship at the pay-per-view on Sunday. They do their little surprise celebrity people again. Bischoff is there. Conrad is there. Your thoughts on this, Nick? Did this work? Did this pump up this match for you? Was it too hokey? What was it cool? What do you think?
Thought the idea was okay. How it went off, not so great. I did like see Conrad's a big guy. I do love listening to his podcast. Eric Bischoff, ever since I've even after the guy jobbed me in front of you, I've still remained a fan of this guy, man. Literally, folks, jobbed me. It was the first guy you couldn't even hear his question, and and then no one grabbed the mic and repeated it or anything. So I was confused at what he had just said. I didn't see how those guys really needed to play into the feud. I was okay with it, I guess, because you brought in some decent names. But I don't know. Again, I guess it's a big match because I do feel they've kind of built it a little, but they just don't write stories very well. I guess I don't like the Young Bucks. It's not. I mean, I didn't feel any sympathy for them
Right.
when they came out and started talking about their dad. I didn't even buy it. It was just these guys don't sell it. And I don't know. I guess it's a big match for AEW, but I'm sorry, Ryan. I don't know what to say on this one. I feel like it's just a match. This has just not been a great build to this, nor do I think we're all waiting for the MJF Jericho breakup more than we even care about this match.
Right. And does it happen here? Does MJF, or one way or the other, they cost each other the belt and whatever. Does it happen there? My biggest takeaway from this was just what you said, just the Bucks in general. Like, I mean, we know these guys think they're better than they are. And, they've done a great job at God bless them, man. They are a big deal, but
people like them.
Yeah. This whole thing, though, to me, you buried these guys. And, people always talk about, WWF is the attraction now, or WWE. WrestleMania sells itself. They don't want stars. The company is the star. That kind of seemed like what they were doing here. AEW is the star, not Chris Jericho, not MJF. And without the Young Bucks, there would be no AEW. So we're bigger than the company. I'm like, are you? Are you? And just, I don't know, Chris, you'd be jerking the curtain at the PC if it weren't for us. Really? You're telling, I mean, I know it's fake or whatever, but you're doing this inside shoot stuff, and Chris Jericho is the guy you decide you're going to make fun of?
Back high mid-card right now if he signed with WWE.
Right. And this is supposed to be one of your huge dudes, and you're saying that he sucks? And then they say the same thing for MJF, whatever. He'd be in his mom's basement waiting for a call from Rosie O'Donnell or something. Why are you making these guys sound terrible? I didn't like that at all. I thought they were trying to be cute and clever, and they're like, all right, well, then you better win.
Well, it's
because you just made these guys sound like they suck.
The guy said the Performance Center.
Right.
So that's what he thought. I think people are going to probably think is cool. He knows about the Performance Center. That's cool.
They're taking a shot at WWE.
WWE
and
taking a shot.
That's all they do, is take shots, and everybody thinks it's cool.
I'm with you. It didn't make sense because it was a falsehood. And here's the thing, from the face.
Right.
Heels can lie. Heels exaggerate. Heels say all these ridiculous things that are often very untrue. You're the face, dude. Or I think.
Are they?
Yeah, I don't know. Depends on what night it is.
Right.
But and it's not real. Chris Jericho probably is the biggest name you have in your company as far as wrestlers go.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there is. I was thinking maybe Moxley, but my mom doesn't know who Moxley is. My mom knows who Chris Jericho is.
Right.
So I'm with you. I didn't.
Well, and they basically said, and of course, it's their dad. So, of course, they like their dad, but their dad's better than Chris Jericho? That was basically the gist of the whole thing. Our dad is better than Chris Jericho.
I don't know his name.
Yeah. Papa Buck.
I can't remember his name.
Papa Buck is his name.
Papa Buck, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That just didn't. Yeah. It didn't work. I mean, you tried to bury guys in Chris Jericho. You tried to bury Chris Jericho. You'd be jerking the curtain at the PC if it weren't for us saving you. Huh? No. He can do whatever he wants. I don't think he's had a great year, But Chris Jericho can write his own ticket. Chris Jericho headlined the Tokyo Dome without WWE. He doesn't need that was.
I think I don't know where I have him, but I bet he's 25 or 30 all time.
Yeah.
Somewhere, I don't know where. I'd have
and
to
where
look
are the
that.
Bucks?
Here's where the Bucks are. If they left AEW right now, there'd be a lot of people upset, but the show would stay the same. I don't think it dropping in. I don't think they lose ratings. There's people watching just for I'm not saying there's people that aren't watching to see the Bucks.
Right.
Who's watching just for the Bucks?
Right.
I don't.
Papa Buck.
Papa Buck.
Yeah,
that's it. And Mama Buck or whoever the hell else is bucking. It just.
I don't get it with these guys, man. Like, I just don't get it. I don't see. Yeah, they do some cool moves or whatever, but like, I just don't see it.
What are they doing that everybody else is not doing?
The Meltzer driver. And moving on. So we had Tully Blanchard fighting for the first time in like 30 years or something. That was next after this. So he and FTR, they're fighting Jurassic Express in a 6-man. And who shows up? Speaking of Jericho, the man he named JoJo Dillon, the former manager of the Four Horsemen from like 1988, I think was when he left them. So he's there. Your thoughts on this, Nick? Because I think you like them slightly more than the Bucks, but only slightly. Is that correct?
I do. Yeah, I like them more. I think FTR. I have been a fan of finding a team that wrestles old school in the new school era. I don't think every team can do it, but you can have one. You know, and I thought that would be cool, and I think they do fit the bill for that. I was really worried when I saw Tully coming into this. He did okay, but I just don't want to see Tully Blanchard. I don't want to see Arn Anderson. I don't want to see Jake Roberts. I don't want to see J.J. Dillon. I don't want to see these guys who are 20-plus years beyond any time they had in the ring. Most of them 25, 30 years past when they had any time in the ring. But, I mean, the match, I guess it goes off okay. I can't get over. Dude, they need to get – I like the big Luchasaurus guy. I think there's something there. I think the guy's got some skill for a big man. He's not going to be your best worker because he is big, but I think you need a big guy. He can talk a little bit, I think, because they let him talk maybe once or twice.
Yeah, he was good.
But these two little guys, dude, I hate them as much as I hate the Young Bucks, man. If not, they ruin the sport, man. They're so stinking small, man. Marco Stunt, maybe you could do with Jungle Boy. Okay, he could be your little guy on the roster. This Marco Stunt guy's got to go. He makes the guys look bad. But match was, what do I have here? Again, guys are in and out. These same AEW matches. There's no tag. It feels like a tornado match.
Every match.
The freaking match.
Every match.
Every match. And I guess, if you're going to do that, just go with it and say, in our business, tag team matches are no rules. Tornado. Here we go. And see if it works. I'm not a fan of it, but,
Well, and they have said some different rules. Like they have said because Ross would call them out, for not getting in and out of the ring. So they do have different rules, like the count is longer and things like that. But, yeah.
That's fine. The count can be longer, but it's just still – it gets to the point where they've been in there for 2 or 3 minutes. And I mean, the count can't be 60 seconds. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Why even tag? Why even attempt to tag?
And again, the match was worked fine, but then the end we get a recreation.
Well, that's where I was going at the beginning when I said you like these guys slightly more than the Bucks. I was talking about this.
Oh, those guys, slightly more. And we've said this, right? How many years did the NWO last in WCW? Was it really? How many years was the NWO there?
Well, from the beginning to end without pauses, 4.
Because that went on way too long, according to everyone on the internet.
And way too many people joined
Way too many people in it. When was the first Four Horsemen?
85, 86, I believe.
and they've never went away. They keep coming back, and somehow zero criticism. It's always cool. I like FTR getting with Spears. Why do they have to be the Horsemen, man? Why can't they? And who's the fourth? They're all Tully? This guy can't. He's not really going to wrestle now, is he? Like, I mean, this was a one-time. Let's hope, God. And because I said he didn't do that bad, but I don't know, man. I like the idea because I want to see Spears. I think Spears is decent, man. But
I thought he could have been, at the beginning when they first started, he cut some good promos and whatnot. I like his entrance. I like his music. I was like, okay, this guy could be something. He hasn't done a thing since.
No. But I don't know. I don't. What did you think? I thought the match was a tag match to form the Horsemen.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. Here's my problem, and I've said this before. I haven't said it in a while. What I don't understand is the recreation of history here. For 20 years, which, by the way, it is the 20th anniversary of WCW going under. For 20 years, and then the few years before that, when the company was bad, I've heard nothing but how terrible WCW is. I've heard nothing but how second-rate it is, how bad it is, the writing, the wrestlers, it looks generic, it's knockoff WWE, whatever. And in the past 18 months, since AEW has been here, I've heard nothing but now the exact opposite. Tony Schiavone has been for years known as the worst announcer ever. I had never minded the guy. Yeah, he had some quirks. Now all of a sudden, he's amazing. WCW's production was always said to be so terrible. Who's the director of AEW? And now everybody loves it. Keith Mitchell. You know, the Horsemen. Now we got Arn out here. Now we got Tully out here. We got all these throwbacks to WCW gimmicks. The match that was supposed to be War Games, I can't think of what it was called, and they canceled it because of the pandemic. They were bringing that back. They bringing back Bash at the Beach and all this stuff. Like, it's just odd to me that now all of a sudden everyone just forgot what they said about WCW for the past 20, 30 years. The ring's too small, and it's got cable ropes, and that's all I ever heard. Yep. And now it's the opposite. I just find it funny. And that ties into, now we get J.J. Dillon, because people were really clamoring to see J.J. Dillon.
20 years ago, they weren't clamoring.
No, he would come out and people got mad when he was the WCW president or whatever he was.
Yeah.
Arn, I'm sorry. What does Arn do? He does nothing. He reads his play sheet, which Cody has admitted is stupid.
Dude, the Horsemen have always been Flair and some dudes. That's really, to me, what they... I mean, Arn, he can talk a little bit, I guess. He's pretty good on the mic for his day, but nothing really sets him. He just looks like your dad.
He looks like a dude, man. And he can talk, and you don't want everybody screaming and yelling, and you don't want everybody to be Hulk Hogan, and you don't want all the bad guys to be Ric Flair. So you got to have different types. But his cadence, while he was good, it was kind of like, I don't know, the charisma wasn't there for me. You know, it kind of was put me to sleep. I'm sorry. I don't know. And
Horsemen, to me, are often regional. Not many of them worked up north, man. I mean, they just didn't. I mean, that's just fact.
None of them
didn't. I mean, Wyndham didn't. Wyndham was. I mean, his best run was pre-Horseman, wasn't it?
Yep.
Right. So the Brain Busters. I mean, they were okay. I don't think they were setting the ring on fire up there.
They had great matches with the Rockers.
Yeah, they did.
But nobody sits there and reminisces about the Brain Busters. I mean, they were only there for like a year, but yeah, nobody's sitting there.
If you want to call Luger a Horseman, he didn't have a great WWE run.
No. Well, and even the Horsemen will say, now that we've gone on a 10-minute Horseman tangent,
right?
Even they say it wasn't good after 86, or it wasn't as good. '86 was it when Wyndham got in there. And then they're kind of like, dudes were in and out and blah, blah, blah. Like
Benoit is one of the worst champions in WWE history. I'm sorry. He didn't draw.
Yeah, that's why they took the belt off him, and he was in the curtain jerker the next year with Rey Mysterio at Mania.
Malenko didn't make it up there. Wasn't he a horseman?
Just no charisma. Great wrestler.
Sure. Benoit's a great wrestler. I'm not knocking him for that. I think he can be used.
Sure, absolutely.
He didn't draw up north. He didn't.
Yeah, these guys, I just don't understand. I mean, it's cool, I guess. They were a force back in the day. I just you said it right off the get-go. Yeah, did the NWO get blown up and overused and recreated too many times? Absolutely. But why do we give a pass to the Horsemen? Why do they get a pass? I don't understand. I mean, how many times did they recreate that thing? There has to be 24 Horsemen. I'd have to go through and look, there's got to be 15 to 20.
And I just think you give more attention to flair when you do this than these actual three guys in the ring. Because immediately, I don't know what everybody else thinks. When I hear Horseman, I think flair.
Absolutely. Well, and the name of the DVD was Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen. So, all right, that's enough on that. The only other thing I really want to hit on, Nick, that seemed to be somewhat newsworthy, we get to see Paul Wight, the Big Show, the Giant, whatever you want to call him. He shows up. Wasn't there last week. He comes out. He does an interview with Tony, WCW style, at the end of the entrance ramp. Cool. He was cool. And he says he's got the biggest scoop ever.
Yeah.
A Hall of Fame worthy player is coming to the pay-per-view. He will sign at the pay-per-view. Oh, it's not the guy you think it is. So I don't know who anybody thought they thought who it was. I have one guy in mind. Oh, it's not him. So don't get too excited.
Right.
But I got a major announcement. Don't get too excited about it. But it's not him, but it's still okay. It's still pretty cool. Buy the pay-per-view. Your thoughts on that?
I love that.
Why don't you just not say that? Why even say that? Let people think it's Punk. If that's
yes, I have a big announcement. Someone major is signing with AEW. And you stop right there.
Right.
That's all you got to say.
If you want to see it, buy the pay-per-view.
You know what? Half the thing is, like you said, let me think it's Punk so I might buy the pay-per-view. Then I go home disappointed. Oh, well, you got my money.
Yeah, I'm disappointed now.
Yeah, this is, you almost are saying it's going to be sweet. You're going to be a little disappointed.
Yeah.
But it's going to be sweet.
Yeah. You just prefaced that it'll be okay. It won't be great, but it'll be pretty cool. Like, if you think people are going to be disappointed,
why would you tell
you disappointed me 5 days earlier. Like, steal my money first, then let me be disappointed.
Yeah, like, why? They didn't say the Impact player was going to be Road Warrior freaking Animal. I bought tickets and took my friends to see that at what was that theater?
Movie theater.
Run.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. And my friends were all looking at me, and they're like, your face is so weird with Road Warrior Animal. I'm like, this is not what I had expected, man. Like,
well, that wasn't even the best part of that. Sid's leg snapping in half
was but my point I was getting at, they didn't tell me if you would have told me Road Warrior Animal was the big guy, I'd have found something better to do that night. I mean, I'm not gonna buy your pay-per-view.
Oh my gosh, man, I'm crying. That was Scotty, my leg. It's such a shame
that oversells leg injury.
Yeah,
Google.
It's such a shame that you can't find that, because I think that was their worst bought pay-per-view of all time. Literally no one on earth has that on VHS that they can upload to YouTube, because the only version you can find of it is from the next night when they started Nitro, and they showed it but they killed the audio, so you didn't hear his leg snap, Sid that is, and then him go, Scotty!
That's not on the network?
No, and they've cut it off the network, too. If you go watch it, it's all chopped up. The whole thing is chopped up. Like, Animal just is there. They, like, go from a close shot to a wide shot, and all of a sudden, Animal's there. Yeah, you got to watch that, dude. If you don't know what I'm talking, it's Sid when he breaks his leg, WCW Sin, January 2001, so 20 years ago in a month or two. And Sid jumps off the top fighting Scott Steiner. His leg just snaps in half. I'm sure you've seen it, but yeah, with the audio, the only people that have ever heard the audio are the 12 people, including you and me, who actually watched that pay-per-view live.
I watched it live.
Yeah. I think it's the lowest buy rate ever.
Those.
Yeah, I think it had like 80,000 buys or something. And not even that. It might have been like 20. It was brutal. I could Google it, but I don't care. Anyway, so who do you think it is going to be? Any thoughts? Because I'll be honest with you, if he's a Hall of Fame type dude, like did he say this guy was going to wrestle, or is it going to be another like Arn Anderson?
I'm hoping. I'm praying it's not someone like Mick Foley, or something like that, because hopefully it's someone who can
Hall of Fame worthy. So that tells you this person is not in the Hall of Fame yet.
Okay, well, it's not Punk because he said it's not him.
Right.
Is what my guess that was alluding to, right? It's
you
not
would assume. Punk. You would assume.
Who the heck is Hall of Fame worthy that's not, has there been somebody taking a dip from the WWE recently? And
Kurt Angle was the first name that popped into my head.
Dang it, dude. Yeah, it's going to be him.
That's the first name. And the other name that I've heard, and I don't think this would happen, the other name I've heard thrown out there would be Christian. Now, why would Christian come? He's already done the TNA thing, as have other people. He went to TNA, didn't work out, but he just got back in the ring. He was in the Rumble. So you would assume maybe they're going to do something with him, and now Edge is back. You would think he's going to have some sort of role in that storyline. So I wouldn't think it'd be him. That's why, like, Kurt Angle is the first name that popped into my head.
Kurt Angle makes sense. I'm with you. I don't know why WWE
and he's why in the Hall of Fame too.
Yeah, and why would he wreck? I don't know. Vince, I can't imagine, would be super happy about him appearing right on WWE and then jumping right over. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it could happen, I guess, if he's not under contract. But
yeah, and he isn't. I don't know who it would be. Like, who could it possibly be?
It might. Angle makes the most sense. But again, is Angle really going to do anything right now? People didn't tune over to Impact to watch Kurt Angle in 2006 or whenever. Pardon if I'm off by a couple years or something. Right. But they didn't tune over to watch him back then when he was still putting on and did have some good matches with Sting over there. And some other guys, Mr. Kennedy and Handful.
Well, and they were getting better ratings than either of the companies on Wednesday night.
They were, but I don't think Kurt Angle is going to, again, he might pop it the first night or something a little bit, but I don't see it making a major difference.
Yeah, I don't know who it could be. Batista apparently has shot it down that it's him. Pat McAfee, I guess Cody said on the conference call yesterday, Cody said that Pat McAfee keeps calling them, wanting a job. He shot that down today. Yeah, and he might have misspoke because he kept calling the pay-per-view Evolution instead of Revolution. So when he says Hall of Fame quality, the person could be in the Hall of Fame already, and he just misspoke. There was rumors about Ricochet possibly, like his contract was up or something, but I would think he would have a 90-day thing, and he is definitely not Hall of Fame worthy.
How would he get the exemption?
Right. Zelina Vega is probably going to end up there soon.
Sure, great. And she's awesome. I hope she does.
Yeah, I like her a lot.
Me too.
she's not in Hall of Fame worthy. You know,
Oh
that's
God,
not,
no. And she's no God, no. She's
yeah. So I don't know, man. I have no clue who it's. They got me interested anyway. But I will say,
yeah,
if it's
no clue.
just some old dude, I mean, we've seen it. You know, Sting. Look what they've done with Sting. I'm sorry, the last couple of weeks have been better, but I don't need to see Sting wrestle anymore.
Ryan, I told you about a year ago. I don't know if you remember the conversation we had. I said this show's it's going to go one or two ways. It's going to be a completely different product and start to grow and make it, or it's going to go the way of Impact Wrestling, you know, around 2010. And the more I'm not saying don't sign WWE guys, but the more they sign these guys who are well past their prime or obvious flops in the WWE, it's not going to matter to bring them in here unless you see something there. I think they're more looking like Impact Wrestling if they're going to keep doing this. Because I mean, and I don't mean Impact today, which is I would rather watch AEW any night of the week than Impact. That's not even, I'm not even debating that. But I will say this, I would rather watch Impact 2008 than AEW 2021.
Yeah.
They had bigger name. I mean, they had AJ Styles, or I don't necessarily mean 8. I just mean that era. AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle, Sting, Booker T, Steiner, Nash. I'm sorry, they had good guys.
I'm not sure. You know, I think Big Show could be somewhat revitalized, maybe, but I don't think he can be some massive star. You know, if he fights 3 times a year.
Behind him. Yeah, he's just, but and the thing they're going to have to watch with him, Ryan, he's freaking huge. And I said the same thing about Shaq. And everybody, you know, maybe people don't like when I say it. These guys are little, man. Yeah. And when you it's one thing to have Cody stand in there against the Murder Hawk. The Big Show or Paul Wight, excuse me, is huge, man. You're going to make Marco Stunt will look like a 7-year-old getting an autograph before the match from this guy. You know,
he does when he looks at Cody.
But you know, if you wanted to push someone, bring him in, have him win a few matches, not use him sporadically, become a monster.
Yes.
And then let someone beat him, whoever you feel is your guy.
They got to treat him like Andre. You know, he's got to be on. He fights 2 or 3 times a year. He murders people, and that's it. Until they're ready to give them the rub, you know.
And when I mean murder, these guys can't go 20 minutes with this guy. Or not that he could go 20, but even like an 8-minute match. That's a long match if you're going to make this. This guy needs to come in there 3 minutes.
Crush him. Yep, I agree. Anything else on this, man? We had the women's match that the winner
don't know any of them
fight.
I don't know who the hell they are, dude.
Yeah, that whole thing did nothing for me. And plus, you had to watch this whole tournament.
I have no idea.
Yeah, they had the Japanese side, which I don't know any of them. And you had to watch like on the Bleacher Report app or YouTube or this or that. It was kind of all over the place. I don't ever
say anything. No one's saying anything about WrestleMania 4 having a weak freaking tournament ever freaking again. These people, they could literally be someone from my neighbor, and okay, that's who it is.
Hey, you moved in, huh?
I don't know any of the people in this freaking tournament. I know the few AEW girls.
Right.
But I don't know, man.
Yeah, and so this girl wins. I don't know who it is.
Nope.
She's going to fight. Yeah, Ryu Mizunami, and she is going to fight Hikaru Shida at the pay-per-view. Okay, well, there we go. I'm sure it'll be a good match, but I don't know who it is, so I don't care.
It would be
sure the match would be fine.
She's a good wrestler. There's an indie show that I've showed you pictures. Literally puts a ring inside a storage unit down the road from me. I wouldn't know them from anybody that works in there, and I've been there before checking that out. I don't know them, but some of the dudes put on good matches.
Right.
Who cares?
So we get out of here, Nick, without, like we said, the main event. We get nothing. Let's take a look at the pay-per-view coming up. We've got the Bucks against The Bucks against MJF and Jericho, sure, it'll be a good match. Maybe we'll get a breakup or something. Team Taz, we did also get a Sting interview, which we didn't talk about here on the show. Darby Allin and Sting in a street fight. The women's match that we just talked about for the world title, Shida against Ryu Mizunami. We have what was the main event of last night's show, Hangman Page and Matt Hardy. The winner gets like their contract or something for the first month. That was another really bad, didn't make any sense build. Page screws Hardy and has him sign the wrong paper. And then Hardy, then after he's already signed the paper, goes, hey, let's fight for your contract. Okay, sounds like a plan. Why would anybody do that? No, I screwed you and you signed the wrong sheet of paper. And no, we're not fighting for my money. We're fighting for your money. It doesn't make any sense. So there's that. We also have what I believe is going to be like a Money in the Bank match. Face of the Revolution ladder match for a future TNT championship. It's going to be Cody, Scorpio Sky, Penta, Lance Archer, Max Caster, and one other person to be named. Maybe it'll be the person who the Big Show was talking about. I don't know.
Maybe.
Miro and Kip going to fight the Best Friends. There's also a Casino Tag Team Battle Royal for a Tag Team Championship match. Tons of dudes are in that. Then there's another tag team match. Rio and Thunder Rosa taking on Britt Baker and Reba. And then the main event. Anything you're looking forward to here? Anything else you want to hit on before we jump into a little bit of Raw from Monday?
Looking forward to Sting, seeing how they use him. I don't know how that's going to go. Just looking, I want to look for just to see how it goes. I want to see how the street fight is done. Maybe it'll be great, a good match. I don't know. I'm just curious about Sting, and I'm sorry, I'm not curious about the explosive death wish match or whatever the hell I'm supposed to watch there. But I would say these guys can all wrestle. They can't write shows. I know people may get upset. They can't write shows well. They don't. Nothing is flowing, making sense, or being even promoted well.
Yeah, you look at this. Obviously, the Sting match has had build. The Bucks Inner Circle match.
That is the best build they've had.
Yeah,
is the Sting match.
Well, and really nothing even happened really until last week when Sting came out and Darby came down on the zip line. Like, that's really the first thing that's happened. I guess Sting got powerbombed the week before, but the Bucks Inner Circle has had build, but it's really been more about who's going to break up. Is MJF going to break up the Inner Circle? Paige Hardy, I told you, that doesn't make any sense. Like, that just is dumb. The ladder match, obviously, and then we talked about
the ladder match would be a good match.
Moxley cut a great promo last week. He can talk. I mean, dude, we all know that. He cut a great promo.
I love Moxley. He's great.
I don't know why you did it last week as opposed to this week with the go home. So, and they've had a thing going with the Miro and the Best Friends. That's been going for a while. The only thing I would like to see what they're going to do, like you just said with Sting, with the main event. I want to see how they pull this off. I am not excited to see it. I did not like their death match, whatever it was that they had a year ago. Last November, I was not a fan of that at all. So
ridiculous.
But I am interested to see what exactly is exploding barbed wire. What is that? And then once I see it, I'll be done with it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really excited about this.
Fingers crossed. Hopefully, the Impact player's big, man. Hopefully, he is somebody that I'm just not thinking of.
Yeah. Well, you're not alone. I don't think anybody right now quite knows who this person could be. And they pulled off a shocker with the Big Show. Not saying that's like some great move or anything, but nobody saw that coming. I mean, that came out of the blue. So we'll see what happens here. Hey, let's go to Raw real quick because
sure,
I'm a little, you called Lashley from the get-go. You thought this was going to happen, and you nailed it. He's the world champ. He wins it for the first time. And now that it's happened, you're hearing some noise. I don't know if this means anything. I don't know anything about it. But when you listen to other shows, in big name shows, you know, Busted Open, The Torch, The Observer, people want Lashley to carry the belt into Mania and keep the belt because it is different. This is the best push he's ever had. This is the best he has ever been. People are, you know, and most figure it's going to be Drew McIntyre against Lashley, and most people would think Drew is finally going to get the moment he did not get last year. But there's kind of like, maybe this is overselling it, but understand where I'm coming from. There's kind of a Kofi Mania thing here starting, and we have 6 more weeks before Mania. Could they be running into some trouble here where they might have to switch gears and stay with Lashley?
I think yes, but the multiple problems, right? I mean, you got 2 heels who I believe should both ride out of here with titles. You know,
at Mania, you're saying, which
yes,
they don't ever do. Yeah, which they never do.
I don't know how that's going to go. I don't know what they're going to do here. This is tough. I am one of those people. I'm a fan of Bobby Lashley. And I'm sorry, the Drew McIntyre, I like Drew McIntyre, but his moment was last year. He's not hot anymore.
Right.
He was hot coming out of that Royal Rumble. You can't,
right.
And I get you can't recreate the moment. This is what we've been saying about The Rock. People, Rock can't come out without fans. But you can't bring this moment for Roman back next year. That's the problem. If
right.
Roman gets pinned this year, there goes your Rock match, man. It's a million times worse. And the same with this. But opposite, Drew was last year. You know, right. This is problem with Lashley, though. The guy I love him. You know I do. He has 0 charisma, right?
Well, on the stick anyway, yeah.
Yeah, you keep him with MVP. I don't think Andre the Giant was known for charisma.
Right.
You know,
different time, though.
So,
but,
you know, they threw him with Bobby. Bobby is that, and Bobby Heenan, that is. Bobby Lashley is that. I mean, you look at, that dude is the guy. This is what I want to see as a WWE champion. I'm sorry, man. I love the big dudes. I love the muscle-bound freaks. And he can actually work, too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear – again, no. Is he Shawn Michaels? No, he's not.
No, he does. Well, he doesn't do a tope suicida, so he's not any good.
I know. Yeah, but, dude, he's fine. I think they should go with him. Do I think he's going to win? No. I don't think in a chance in hell. Didn't McMahon say something? He doesn't like heels rolling out of WrestleMania.
Well, they've only done it a couple times. And,
okay.
Yeah, you wouldn't think both nights you would have a heel end the show. We don't know what's going to happen. I assume Roman Edge is going to be the last night. And you think maybe one of the girls' matches would be the other night, but who knows? Especially if a heel wins. I wouldn't think they're going to have a heel win both nights. Because, how many times has that ever even happened?
That's what I feel 16, bad at, yeah.
It happened at 16. Yoko won at 9, but then Hogan came out. I think like one other time is the only time a heel has won, and I can't think of what that is. Austin
Lesnar, we were there. Lesnar, we were there. Lesnar.
No, he didn't. But that wasn't the last match.
Oh, that's right. It wasn't.
Roman Undertaker, which you could say the heel won if you wanted. You know. Oh, I think that was another one where 2 people were cheering for Roman and 70,000 were cheering for the Undertaker. Mm-hmm. Us being the 2. It hasn't happened very often. There's got to be another one I'm not thinking of, and forgive me.
I'm sure there is, but I don't know that they'll do it. Do you feel that way? I feel like Drew, the loss to Randy Orton, the loss to Roman Reigns, the sword and the kilt, He's Braveheart now.
Yeah.
I mean, then he got pinned. I know it was a tag team match, but got pinned by Sheamus, and then I know The Miz beat him in Money in the Bank. I know it was a cash-in after Lashley, but he still lost.
Right.
This guy has, when you start compiling it, he's lost a lot of times for a big guy, I guess.
Yeah,
if you will.
and I would have said up until this week, when I started hearing other people say, yeah, I want to see Lashley keep the belt. I'd like to see where they go with this, because I've seen Drew, and Drew is fine, but we know what he is. We've had it for a year now. I've seen it. It doesn't suck. It's not the greatest thing ever. I'd like to see something else now. That's kind of where people are at. And I do, the first time I saw him with that sword, it was over for me. I was just done with it. I'm like, I don't hate this guy, but he's
stupid.
I thought he looked stupid. I thought it made him look dumb. That's me, and he has confirmed that it was Vince's deal, and it's Vince's sword, and it was totally Vince's idea. He talked about that with Stone Cold, and I'm like, well, yeah, that's quite obvious. He comes out in a kilt with a sword, and he sticks it into the ground like he's Zelda or something. Like, I don't need that. So, yeah, I wonder if this will keep building, if people will start getting behind it a little bit more. Now, here's the other thing. There's no fans until WrestleMania, and they haven't even put tickets on sale yet. So it's not like people are going to boo Drew or something and cheer Lashley, because there's not going to be anybody there to boo. So I don't know. I just wanted to see what you thought there, and what are the possibilities. Are there other possibilities? Here's another thing. Lashley was on the After the Bell, or whatever it's called, Corey Graves podcast, which is a WWE podcast. They asked him at the end, who do you want to fight? And he said, Drew. I want to fight Drew. But then, as he's about to hang up, he goes, anybody know what Brock's doing? What are the possibilities that Brock comes in this and either fights Lashley and we get that match people have been talking about for years, or it's a triple threat? What are the possibilities going into Mania? Are there any others other than Drew and Lashley? Drew wins.
The idea of a triple threat, you can't throw that out, because the other one's probably a guaranteed one-on-one. So, I mean, they could do that. And Lesnar would be the guy that would make sense. He never lost. I'm sorry, never got his rematch for his belt. McIntyre hasn't got the rematch for the belt.
Right.
With that argument, The Miz hasn't got his rematch either. He could be implemented somehow. I hope not. I would rather see Lashley versus Lesnar one-on-one, or Lashley versus Drew one-on-one. I don't like triple threat WrestleMania main event matches. I don't like Fatal Fours. I'm a firm believer for that belt at that pay-per-view. I'm not against them. I actually like the Fatal Four-Ways sometimes, man. I think they're really interesting, intriguing, easy way to get the belt on someone and off someone else without killing one of the guy that loses the belt.
Right.
But I don't want to see this somehow Lashley pins Lesnar, so Drew pins Lesnar pins Drew, or vice versa. I don't know. I don't like any of that. Let's just get a one-on-one, mano-a-mano. Probably just go with Drew. I'm done with Lesnar, Ryan, to be honest with you. I don't know what he brings. I mean, he does still bring something. There's people out there that like him. You want to bring him in. There's other guys on the card that let's agree, a weak WrestleMania card to begin with, that you could use this guy with, rather than putting three of the biggest guys in the industry today in the same match.
Yeah, the only guy I would possibly want to see him fight would be Lashley. And he has to win. Lashley has to win.
Has to win.
But the problem is, I don't even know that does anything for him now. I mean, this guy has been beaten. I think he's lost like his last, I don't know how many matches.
Lesnar,
I'm
you're
over
saying.
it. Yeah, Lesnar. Pronouns, pal. I mean, he lost to Seth twice. He's lost to Roman. He's lost to Drew. I mean, he's lost to Goldberg. He's lost to everybody. Triple H. Like, I mean, it means more if Lashley beats him than, Ricochet. But,
right.
I mean, is it that big of a deal now? That match would have been big a few years ago. Now, I still wouldn't mind seeing it, but yeah, I don't know that like puts Lashley over or that makes Lashley by beating, because he wasn't made Monday by beating The Miz. That's for sure.
No. Be a lot easier to keep the belt on Lashley because you'd almost have heel versus heel going into that match. But again, we've talked on this. Lesnar just shows up with no Heyman.
Right. That's the other thing.
How do you get it would make more sense. And again, please do not, folks, do not think, I don't want to see Roman and Lesnar ever in the ring again. I do not want to see that. But it would just make more sense. There's got like some kind, if he shows up to like what, I mean, unless they just comes out and says, I'm done with Heyman, but
right.
Someone's got to be Lesnar's stick guy. We all saw that.
Right. Well, and then, then what do you do there? Like, is that weird? He's on both shows, and does Roman care? Because Roman seems to only want him doing his business, but he's over here. Like, that's just kind of strange. I don't know how that would work. So, yeah,
Roman.
I mean, you could
Roman. Roman's the guy. Roman's got complete control, but he's okay with Heyman going to also manage Lesnar.
Right.
His probably biggest nemesis in WWE in his career.
Right.
I don't buy it.
Yeah, I'm not. I just wonder if they will call an audible and they will go with Bobby. But it will be hard to know without fans what the fans are thinking. I think if fans were there, it would be a big possibility that they call the audible. Well, maybe not. Anyway, man, anything else from those shows you want to talk about? Because that was what stood out to me. We don't need to talk about The Miz. We know that was a joke.
No.
The whole show was kind of a joke to me, like countdown clock for The Miz and Lashley, like it's The Rock and Austin or something, Like, do we really need a countdown clock for that?
Not that you're a big fan, but they really made The Miz look terrible that whole night too, man. They really made him look bad.
And he's a bad guy, and he's
I get it, man. But
he's supposed to get pounded. He's supposed to look bad, but I don't think that helped Lashley, though. Like, just squashing this dude, that didn't help him at all. Not one bit. Okay, so he beat a chump, Okay, you beat a chump.
Well, we'll find. We don't know who he's fighting at Fastlane, right?
No, we don't know. They went off
so
the
maybe
air with
they're
him holding
looking.
Up that
maybe
shot.
They're on. You could be onto something. Maybe they're on. Maybe Drew gets his shot at Fastlane and Lashley at Mania.
Could be.
I don't know. I probably not. I still my money is on McIntyre Lashley at Mania with McIntyre coming out with the belt.
But yeah, that's what I would assume. That's what one would.
We're also
assume.
a ways away. I could change my mind.
They could change theirs. We know that happens all the time. But anyway, okay, that's that, man. We will be back with more stuff. We got a ton of stuff coming in the hopper. We are going to do up WrestleMania. I'm knocking my stuff all over the place here. We are going to really do up Mania. We're going to come at you with a bunch of different WrestleMania podcasts, different gimmicks, different games we're going to play, all sorts of stuff, a couple times a week leading up to it. So be on the lookout for those. We got some good stuff coming. It's going to be a good time. Last year, we did the tournament of worst WrestleMania matches of all time. If you haven't seen that, check that out. It's a two-parter. That was a lot of fun. We're going to have something very similar coming this year as well. So, be on the lookout for that. And then I guess we will talk to you again after the pay-per-view, and we will see who the new Impact Hall of Fame worthy type player, who's not the guy you're thinking of, but is still a guy who's a guy at Revolution. So appreciate it, Nick, and we'll see you then.
Pleasure's all yours, Bucky boys.